What's going on, everybody? So the title of today's audio is going to be Men Aren't Allowed to Make Mistakes. So anyone who knows me on a personal level knows that I'm a huge metalhead. I've been listening to metal ever since I was 15 years old. My father introduced me to a lot of classic rock such as Ozzy Osbourne, Rat, Iron Maiden, and similar bands, but I always yearned for something a little heavier. My friend Jesse introduced me to a band called Mudvayne when I was about 15 years old. I listened to their Dig track and was hooked. My taste in metal only got heavier from there. So my all-time favorite band is As I Lay Dying. Now, the first song I ever heard by them was titled The Darkest Nights off of their Shadows Are Security album. I was hooked the second I heard it. I went to Sam Goody and purchased the album. At the time, I was like 16, 17 years old, so I didn't have much money, so the 16 bucks I spent on the album was a big deal to me. So I bought the album and played it on repeat damn near every day. It's easily one of the best metal albums ever made, in my opinion. After a while, I scrounged up some more money, and then I bought their Frail Words Collapse album, which was an album that was made prior to the Shadows Are Security album. In 2007, they released their In Ocean Between Us album, which was absolute musical gold. The band improved every aspect of their sound, from the vocals to the guitars, drums, bass, and clean vocals. The album was so amazing that their song, The Sound of Truth, was nominated for a Grammy. Now, they didn't get the Grammy, but the fact that a song from the metal genre, more specifically the metalcore genre, was nominated for one was a huge fucking deal. After the release of that album, I heard that they were touring and were scheduled to play at the Orbit Room in Grand Rapids, Michigan. So I sold my PlayStation 2, my Guitar Hero game, and controllers, and desperately scrounged up ticket and gas money to go see them live with 3 other friends. It was easily the best concert I've ever attended. Now fast forward to 2013, and I see a picture of their lead vocalist Tim Lambesis on a Facebook article titled, Metal vocalist Tim Lambesis arrested on charges of solicitation of another to commit murder. I didn't fucking believe it. I thought I was being rickrolled and was expecting that stupid music video to pop up with a goofy-looking British redhead singing his corny 80s tune, but unfortunately, what I read was very true. Tim Lambesis had in fact attempted to hire a hitman to kill his wife. This was surprising to me for a lot of reasons. 1, they are a self-proclaimed Christian band. 2, his wife, at the time, his wife was his day one and traveled with him on his tour, so it wasn't like he knew her for a couple months and just married her. And 3, all accounts of Tim's character by his friends and family were contradicting to the idea of him trying to have someone murder his wife. Tim was described as a God-fearing and wholesome man who loved and cherished his friends and family. Him and his wife had 3 adopted children from Ethiopia. Now, one can only assume they adopted kids because his wife may have been experiencing difficulties in reproduction, but I certainly won't dismiss the possibility of her just not wanting to give birth herself out of fear of the pain or major bodily changes she would experience from doing so. I haven't been able to find any info further on that, so the answer really isn't known. But after researching what happened, I learned that he was arrested in California outside of a bookstore. According to court documents, he attempted to hire an undercover cop posing as a hitman named Red to kill his estranged wife. Anybody who has watched at least 30 minutes of any investigation discovery show would know that 99% of hitmen are undercover cops, and Red, seriously, he fell for that shit. The undercover cop might as well have told him, "Hey, I'm the hitman you were inquiring about. My name is not Cop." So he was reported to the authorities by a man who sold him steroids and worked out in the same gym he worked out at. Now, according to Tim, one day they were working out and the steroid dealer, friend guy, made a sarcastic comment to the effect of, my day is going well unless you need me to find someone to kill your wife or something, ha ha ha. To which Tim responded, wouldn't that be great? And I guess from there followed the fucked up inquiry regarding a hitman to kill his wife. In my opinion, the whole thing seems kind of sketchy, but I'm just going off of his account. So I wondered what could have been going on in their marriage to where he would feel that he needed to have someone offed, have his wife offed. So I did some research. It turned out that their marriage was in shambles. Tim became addicted to steroids, working out, tattoos, and was committing adultery with some chick who lived in Florida at the time. Now, according to his ex-wife, he would just randomly take flights to Florida to see this woman and leave her there with their 3 adopted children. Tim wanted out of the marriage, but his then wife was doing what most women do and trying to make his life as miserable as the law would allow her. He only got to see his kids twice a week during their separation, and she was trying to extort as much money out of him as the family court system would allow. He just wanted the marriage to be over, and she was making it difficult. So he initially pleaded guilty and claimed that steroids altered his mind, and what he did is not something he would have done had he been in the right state of mind. So he later changed his plea to guilty because I'm sure either he realized or somebody sat him down and explained to him that an insanity plea or blaming substances for influencing his decision-making is only something that women can use and get away with. Women or children. So, well, with men, society doesn't want to hear excuses from us regardless of how legitimate they are. All they want us to do is turn those fingers inward and take the full blame regardless of circumstances. So he was sentenced to 6 years in prison in 2014 and was released in December of 2016. I'm not sure if it was parole or if it was he just got released on good behavior. Not entirely sure. But that's when he was released. So, upon being released from prison, he expressed deep sorrow and regret for what he had done, urging his fans not to pin any of the blame on his wife or anyone else except for him. So at this point in time, I already chopped As It Lay Dying up as a loss. My favorite band is gone for good, and it sucked. Had it in my head that my all-time favorite band was just completely done for. So, June 7th, 2018 rolls around, and I again see something that I just didn't fucking believe. A music video titled My Own Grave by As It Lay Dying. So, me being me, called bullshit and was expecting a prank of some sort, but it wasn't. It was a music video with Tim Lambesis and the members of As It Lay Dying that were there before he went to prison. It blew my mind. I haven't felt that much excitement in years. So since the band announced that they are back together and plan on writing more music and touring again, as expected, I've seen comment after comment of people condemning Tim Lambesis, expressing disgust with the fact that they are back together, and people stating that anyone who supports the band after what he did are just as bad as him. Now, I absolutely agree with what he did is horrible, which I will get to in a moment. But seeing this just reminded me of where men stand in society. Men are just not allowed to make mistakes. Whenever a man slips up, his slip-up will follow him for the rest of his life. And it doesn't matter how much good he does after his fuck-up. He could find the cure for cancer, end poverty, end world hunger, and convince Congress to classify Wi-Fi as a human right. And he would still catch shit for the time he slapped his wife or made a distasteful joke. Women generally don't have to experience this. In fact, whenever a woman does something horrible, everyone generally questions what drove her to do it in the first place. Whereas with men, nobody gives a fuck what he was going through or what might have drove him to do it. Women are allowed to make mistakes and will be forgiven for them. And eventually, we'll be able to live it down. A perfect example is this. When was the last time you heard anything about Casey Anthony? I'll wait. People will encourage you to not focus on a woman's past and to focus on the improvements she has made and how well she was doing at the current moment, while simultaneously encouraging you to chastise a man for something that happened years ago. Tim Lambesis paid his debt to society, learned from his mistakes, seemingly, and just wants to move forward with his life. But I got some bad news for you, Tim. It's not going to happen. You're going to be chastised, blackballed, and don't be surprised if you are denied access to a venue because some 5'5" soy boy cuck mayor won't stand for someone who has committed acts or attempted acts of domestic violence playing in his city. Also, don't be surprised if music streaming apps such as Spotify or iHeartRadio refuse to play your music. No matter how much good you do, you are going to spend the rest of your life being reminded of what you did in 2013. While all this went down, not a single person pointed their fingers at the family court system, the very system that will leave a man believing he has to hire someone to murder his wife. It's funny, third wave feminism complains they want gender constructs that have evolved, from the 1950s era, yet are dead silent when it comes to our family court system, which literally operates as if we still lived in a time where men went to work and women stayed home with the kids. Women account for 51% of America's workforce, yet family courts are operating as if we still live in 1957. Why are there no feminist protests outside of family courts across America? The best route for any man, especially a man with some money, is to simply refrain from marriage or having children, which is a topic for another day. So now I'm going to shift my attention to Tim Lambesis. Now what he did was fucked up on a lot of levels. This woman was with him for many years. She was with him before he even became a famous musician. She stood by his side, went with him on long tours, and by all indications never cheated. And then he starts taking steroids, lifts weights, and leaves her for some big-titted, big-butt bimbo. He didn't just destroy his relationship with her, but he destroyed relationships with his adopted children, who he lost all rights to. Mutual friends, family members, and the relationship he had with his bandmates. Yeah, they may write more music, and they may tour again, but their relationship will never be the same again. His ex-wife, she's going to have to think about how her ex-husband tried to have her murdered every day for the rest of her life. There won't be a day that goes by where she doesn't think about it. I think what happened with Tim, and this is just my theory, is that he spent the majority of his life being somewhat of a skinny, lanky, dorky-looking dude, became a famous musician, became rich, put on a bunch of muscle, got tatted up, and then just realized how much opportunity he had to screw women that he would be jacking off to, which is the biggest reason rich men really don't have no business getting married. They'll always be faced with temptation and opportunity that no average-looking or average-income man will ever experience. A rich, good-looking man getting married is kind of like someone going to an all-you-can-eat buffet and then being told they can only have the salad bar. Now, I genuinely do hope that the band is able to pick up where they left off and reach the same amount of success, or at least close to it. I hope that Tim Lambesis learned from this and will one day be able to live it down. And I hope his ex-wife will be able to get to a point in her life where she won't have to think about what happened in 2013 and be able to trust again. To all the men listening, please keep in mind that any mistakes you make will follow you to the grave. Be careful, take care of yourself, and until next time, peace.